Hello everybody, my now 500 subscribers. I'm Jonathan, also known as the PC Genie, and I've done, for a special 500 subscriber special, I have collaborated with another person's channel who covers sort of movies and TVs and has that sort of knowledge of the industry more than me, and I just look at history, of course. That's why most of you are here on my channel about history. But I thought, as a collaboration, we were going to talk about the sort of history and why people have certain stereotypes and things in TV programs. Like, for example, Game of Thrones. And we've actually done it for each other's channels, so obviously to watch the whole lot, you do a crossover. And I'll put links in the description to her video, she'll have ones to mine, we can watch them together. I don't think there's any particular order you have to watch them in, so enjoy in any order you like. And here are the questions. Why is it that, although you can have iconic characters like Sauron from Lord of the Rings, where even though they literally don't have a face, you can look at them and you can say, oh yes, you see that spiky helmet and all that, that's the big bad guy, but apparently for every other character I can think of in fiction, especially heroes, they never wear helmets, even though that's the most important piece of armour and the only armour that people still wear today, even outside of the battlefield. Why don't they wear helmets? You can still see their face, you can still have, iconic helmets, with all sorts of fancy decorations and weird and wonderful styles that look amazing. I mean, you can think of a few games like The Elder Scrolls Oblivion, they even had it in their adverts with amazing looking sort of elvish helmets and this and that, but they still think that heroes need to go, I've got this piece of armour and nah! But they don't get shot in the face somehow. Why?
I really think a lot of that is kind of a Hollywood problem, because if you put a helmet over a guy, then it's like, well, why did I pay for this guy? I could have paid for a nobody actor and done the same thing. And it really seems that a lot of these bigger budget productions assume that everybody watching it is going to be too stupid to figure out that, hey, that helmet that has like this special emblem on it is this certain guy. They want to make it so easy for the viewers to connect the dots that it loses a lot of its accuracy.
So, when I see fight scenes, obviously I understand that no one's going to be perfectly recreating historical European martial arts and obsessing over it to the same degree as perhaps someone like myself. But why is it that sometimes you've got really good scenes with, really dynamic fighting, and sometimes it's just, quite exciting, good camera angles and all sorts of things happening that make you feel on edge, and then other times it's just kind of clumsy flailing all over the place. Classic example, right, where the both happened in the same fight, Oberyn versus the Mountain. One guy, wow, it's all over the place, lots of spins, makes sense, stabs and cuts and all sorts of things with his spear. Cool! And then you got this other guy, two-handed sword, you think, okay, so he's going, he's going to bind, go around, do all kinds of things, and ha-ha, dramatic. But no, instead he just kind of goes, ugh, and all of that, and I think, but that's boring. Why would they even bother doing that? I mean, again, I know obviously you're not going to have perfect techniques and things, but why would you make it just so dull and so uninteresting? I mean, it doesn't even make sense at that point, and that's just one example. There are loads of examples where people do just stupid things. Why is that?
Well, looking at this from the standpoint of a production team, I think it's to help us kind of figure out as the viewers who's going to win in advance, or maybe even misdirect us so that we're surprised when the person flailing about like an idiot wins. And that's always going to be such a really big problem with trying to take something historical and making it accurate in a way that the masses can digest. And really, this is not exclusive to battle scenes like we see in Game of Thrones, because if you go back really far in movie history, like go to the old Western movies of the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, notice that John Wayne and Gene Autry's bullets will never miss their target, whereas their opposing team can't hit them from 2 feet away. And if we're watching something and we're in this constant state of tension, like The Walking Dead often is guilty of doing, then people tend to like the show less because there's no downtime to recover from the craziness. So looking at a battle and having a good idea of like who's gonna win in advance, it's positive for bringing your audience in more. Because if you're sitting there watching something and you're saying, I like that guy, I think that guy's gonna win, and he does, you're like, yay, my prediction was right, and it makes you a little more invested in what's going on.
When you're looking at these sorts of, people in the movies, I noticed there's this weird stereotype where you've got these, swordsmen who are big, buff, they can, they can sling heavy axes and things around and they're really manly and whatnot. And then you look at these archers and they're like anorexic people. They've got noodle arms. They just sort of, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, if you think about historically, it'd be the opposite way around almost. You'd have these knights who are more sort of athletic, they can run faster, they can basically move around quite quickly, use these fairly lightweight weapons like, swords and things, and move very rapidly and quickly like the tiger pouncing. And you've got these archers who can pretty much just need to stand where they are, get a powerful bow like a good old, English longbow, over 100-pound draw weight, get it, knock it, draw it, and loose it for that really powerful punch of the arrow. So, considering that, I mean, where did it come from? Why do people perpetuate this stereotype of just flimsy, noodle-armed, weak archers when they are probably some of literally the strongest people on the battlefield?
And I actually do know a little bit about archery because my husband is a USA archery coach and 2 of my 3 kids are archers. My 3rd child is actually named Archer, but I think with movies, not just Game of Thrones specifically, but all movies and shows in general, it's about aesthetics when they're picking out soldiers. Because what all these places do is they call in these extras and they go, okay, based on your height and weight and body build, you're gonna be this, you're gonna be that, you're gonna be this thing over here. So it's all very stereotype based on how they look coming in as an extra. And of course, a lot of these productions don't really train their extras that well. They might have maybe a day of training at best because it's expensive to have hundreds of people on set that you have to pay for their time and pay for their training. So you're gonna see a lot of archers that's like this and they don't know what they're doing, and that's because they've got this limited amount of time and this limited budget to make something work. But as for being small and kind of lanky, that's just because that's how people can identify an archer. It's one of those like self-fulfilling cyclical prophecies here where, okay, these archers were skinny, so now people identify archers that way, so the next movie does it, so the next movie does it, and it goes on and on and on. So because somewhere along the line somebody established archers as these flimsy looking little guys that can't do anything with their draw weight, that just stuck, and now we have to look at that as a wrong depiction of archers forevermore.
Why is it that everything seems to just go through armor like butter? It'd be like, if someone just went, got this weapon, and then suddenly, oh, dead. What? I mean, I know obviously you've got to have fight scenes and stuff exciting go around, but I mean, people wear armor because it protects them. I mean, this is sharp right now, right? This, ooh, cut my finger open. Brilliant. This is a sharp knife, and the armor stops the sharp thing from doing the bad thing to you. So why do they just have weapons go through armor like butter? It's stupid. And I mean, why isn't it made more gritty? I mean, if you've got this sort of hardcore sort of action and this person really hates this person, why are they just having these kind of unenthusiastic gut stabs? This kind of okay, you're dead, bye. Not very personal, as opposed to, I don't know, kind of wrestling with each other and throwing each other around and then lift the visor, I hate you so much, or just lift the visor and stab them in the face, or do things that are really up close and personal, kind of, you're wrestling with them and trying to get that blade in the neck or under the armpit, or somewhere you're kind of fighting with them a lot more to get into that those nooks and crannies, as opposed to just kind of, oh, wow, this is exciting, I've got to fight. Yeah, there's a lot of hatred there. Yeah. Why did they even do it? I mean, wouldn't it look more real? Well, apart from more realistic, wouldn't it look more fun if it was kind of made gritty like that, to actually deliberately have to stab in these gaps and get really up close and personal, rather than just kind of do a general kind of attack in this direction and they've dropped dead? Why?
I think the armor issue, again, looking at it from kind of the Hollywood side of it, it all has to do with making it look good on camera while not getting the censors angry. I don't know about every country, but I know in the United States we have the FCC and we have like the movie rating systems, and so you have to do certain things to appeal to a broader audience, or at least to be allowed to label and market yourself to a broader audience. So even though it's more realistic to come up and maybe stab somebody in the eye or on an unexposed part of the arm or sides or whatever, it's not what they're really going to show, because a lot of movies aim and a lot of shows aim to keep the blood out or as minimal as possible. And you'll notice if you go watch something like the Chronicles of Narnia, they'll have these huge battles and not one drop of blood, and that's because of the ratings. If they get stuck with an X rating for just being like crazy violent or obscene, nobody can play that movie. There are almost no theaters that will take that movie. If a movie gets rated R or the very rare NC-17, it gets a lot of problems too, because then you've got a lot of teenage boys who might want to go see the movie that aren't old enough to go see the movie. So a lot of these places try to get a PG or PG-13 rating with their violence, so that way they can sell more tickets and get more family-friendly audiences in seats or buying DVDs or watching the show or whatever. Which means that makes it easier for armor to work more like tinfoil instead of armor, to make it less historically accurate, but to sell more stuff.
So, that was that for today, and I hope you enjoyed this part and watched the other part on her channel. And, of course, let me know in the comments what you think. Give me an idea of perhaps what sorts of topics you'd like me to cover in the future. I'm thinking of talking about certain stereotypes and certain things that happen in movies. I'm probably going to ruin your watching medieval movies by having a video about all the things that they do wrong, and then as soon as you know, you're just gonna not be able to watch them seriously ever again. So enjoy that moment, or perhaps get the last moments of those TV programs while you can, before I ruin it for you. See you later.